Hi, I'm Annabelle, and today we'll be making chocolate cream pie. First, before you start making your crust, melt 4 tablespoons of butter in a small pan. In the meantime of the butter melting, mix 1 1/4 cups chocolate wafer crumbs here, and add 1 tablespoon of sugar. Once your butter is melted, add the butter to the crust, such as that, and mix it with a fork. Once that's all mixed up, take a 9-inch pie plate, which you'll pour your cookie crumb crust into. Start to spread out the crust, and as you do that, press the crust against the bottom and sides of the pan, making sure it's evenly coated. Once you have your pie crust in the pan, put it in your oven at 350 degrees for 10 minutes. Currently, I've already made a crust ahead, so it wouldn't take too much time, which you see here. It doesn't go all the way up the side of the pan, but it's a hard baked crust. When your crust is done, mix 3/4 cups sugar. Make sure it's measured properly, or your pie might not turn out as planned. There's 3/4 cups, 1/3 cup cornstarch up here, and it's a little bit messy, but you make sure take a knife and even it out. That's the way to get the best measurements. Such as that. We can clean that up later. And salt, which is 1/2 teaspoon. See here. Then take a wire whisk, small preferably, and combine. Make sure it's well combined, or the starch might stick together and create problems for your pie. After that, stir in 3 3/4 cup whole milk. Make sure when you're measuring to use a liquid measurement, because measuring cup for liquid and solids are very different, and that could help create problems for your thing. So, 3/4 cup milk going into our mixture of cornstarch, sugar, and salt. Again, once that's done, whisk that, make sure everything's dissolved and it's a smooth consistency. Watch if you whisk too harder, you'll do what I just did and get it on the burner. So you want to cook it over medium heat and stir it constantly until the mixture thickens and starts to boil. So I should probably turn on the burner. That would be a good idea. Anyways, once your mixture of milk, cornstarch, sugar, and salt has come to a boil and thickened, let it boil for 1 more minute, continuing to stir constantly. You'll notice it'll get thick much before it boils, but even if it does, it'll boil eventually, so just keep stirring it. Because if you don't stir it, the cornstarch in it will harden and it will become not as much liquefied. And so you have 1 minute, and while you're continuing to stir that for 1 minute, I already pre-beat this, but beat 5 egg yolks. And since mine have been in the refrigerator for a while, I'm going to mix them again because they've started to get a little bit of a film on them. Once you do that, so you want to beat 1/2 of a cup of the hot milk mixture. Watch out because those get really, really hot into the... really working as well as I but a half cup of the hot milk mixture should be pretty thick into the egg yolks and beat it. Once it's beaten, pour the egg mixture back into the milk mixture, which I'm going to take this off the burner so it doesn't start to curdle. Once you pour this back in, but you have to stir it rapidly or else the eggs will start to cook and it'll curdle, which will change the consistency of the pie filling. So you want to beat it rapidly and fast. So continue at a smooth consistency, and once those are beaten in, you want to turn your burner down to low heat and continue to stir constantly. Once you've let the mixture thicken, you may have noticed it takes a while to boil down. You will have noticed it's boiled down and it gets to a thick consistency, kind of like a pudding. Once you're doing that, with the heat on low, continue to boil 3 ounces of chocolate in a pan of water that is set over here. You can see I have a small pan and 2 spoons so that the smaller pan won't touch the pan, it will only touch the water, which helps with the even boiling and not burning of chocolate. So once your chocolate, 3 ounces of unsweetened chocolate, is boiled, take it off the heat and remove your mixture from the heat, which I'm going to, for a better example and a closer look, take a cooling rack and put this on here. You want to put 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 teaspoons vanilla extract, which here I have my teaspoon measure. And the 3 ounces of chocolate. Make sure it is unsweetened, else that'll affect the taste of your pie in the end. And add that to the milk mixture. Make sure to get as much chocolate as possible so you can have the chocolatiest cake that you can possibly have, using maybe best by a spoon drainer. So now that I have my chocolate, butter, and vanilla in, I'm going to stir it, and I'm going to consistently stir it until the butter's melted and the mixture is smooth. As you can see here, it's starting to get a little rough and unmixed. That's probably because the butter not quite all of it is mixed, so it might take a little bit to get an even consistency, and it starts to look a bit like a brownie batter. See, it's a thick brownie or pudding-like texture. You want to make it so it is definitely smooth. It might take a little bit of extra whisking. But once it's gotten to that nice, smooth consistency, you want to take your pie crust that you had previously made, which should be all the way cooled now, and pour it into the pan. I've already have a wooden spoon out from boiling from the small chocolate because of the size of the small pot, because there's not a lot of chocolate to melt. So you just want to scrape out the pan, make sure you can get as much in there as possible, and just smooth it out on the top. When you're done with that, take some plastic wrap, from a drawer, place it directly over the pan itself, just after you've poured the pudding-like filling in. So sometimes plastic wrap. Okay. Once you've poured the filling into the pie, you want to place a piece of plastic wrap directly over the pie tin and press around. Let this go in the refrigerator for 4 hours. After you've let the pie sit for 4 hours, remove it out of the refrigerator and remove the saran wrap. So you see, the saran wrap may have stuck to the top of the pie much, but that won't affect the appearance of it. You can see here where it was touching the saran wrap, but that shouldn't affect the overall appearance in the end. To top off the pie, we have 1 cup of whipping cream, and I've whipped it up to a good consistency, and you can sweeten it or flavor it to taste. I use a little bit of vanilla and some powdered sugar, which we have here. Here we want to take the whipped cream and spoon it onto the pie, trying to get an even consistency overall. I'm using a rubber spatula, but you can use whatever you want. So if you've beat the cream a lot, it may take a while to get the top smoothed out, but if the whipped cream is less beat, it won't take as long. Here I have a pretty thick consistency of whipped cream, which might have some difficulties in evening out all the whipped cream for a good appearance. It might stick to the spatula a little bit, but after a while it should be smoothed out. As here you can see we have a smooth topping of whipped cream, and if it's more on one part than another, just adjust a little bit. And you should have a flat surface to work on. Optionally, for the garnish, you can use a mix of sweetened cocoa powder and powdered sugar mixed together in a small bowl so it has an even consistency and texture. You just want to put that in a sifter, and you can sift it over the pie if you'd like. This is completely optional, but sometimes it gives you the better appearance. Here, we have our final product. The last thing we want to do is clean off around the edge of the pie plate so it has a nice appearance. To clean off the pie, you want to use a wet rag or a paper towel and just wipe around the edges of the pie like so. If you're not particularly concerned on its appearance, this step is also optional. But I think personally it'll make the pie look better in the end, and definitely more attractive. So it may take a little bit since the cocoa powder and the sugar will smear, but after a while you should find a way to get the pie to a worthy appearance. If you're using it for guests, having guests over and having pie as a dessert, this might be a good step to make the pie look particularly good. So, at the moment, not all of the powdered sugar / cocoa powder mixture has settled into the whipped cream, but some of it has, so it has a little bit of a rough appearance, but at the end it should look fine. And here's what your final product looks like. These spots right here should blend in eventually, but it may take a little bit of time. And with the garnish, here we have our chocolate cream pie.